Hi everyone, welcome back. So it's really hot in Italy these days, but I wanted to talk about something that fascinates me a lot. And today's topic is charisma. Olympics just finished, and my favorite sport since I was little is people watching. Now, it has nothing to do with judging other people, it's just simply observing them. And one thing that I noticed is that everyone has something good to teach you. Everyone has at least one major green flag that I like to learn from them and use in my life. And I have met many people in this life. I have my personal favorites. I have my top 10, my top 5 people with green flags. For example, I know one person in my life that doesn't understand the concept of anxiety, stress, nervousness. He lives his life unbothered. But today, we're going to talk about another person that I've had the pleasure to meet in these 21 years of being on this earth, which is a friend of mine. We'll call her Eve. And Eve is in the top 5 of people with green flags because she is the most charismatic person I've ever met. She is a social butterfly. So there are certain types of people that you really need to know before knowing what their green flag is. Well, what happened with Eve when I met her is the opposite. You could see from 100 meters away that she was the most charismatic person in the room, that she was the social butterfly in the room. But actually the circumstances here were weird because the first interaction we had was on a group chat. So me and a girl that I met in that situation that later became my friend wanted to make friends in that type of situation because it was an odd situation, I must say. We were a group of people where no one knew anybody else. And so me and this other friend, before meeting in person, we searched up people on Instagram and we stumbled across Eve's profile. One thing about Eve is that her Instagram profile was nothing like her, especially a few years ago. Now it's becoming similar, but still a very different person from who she is online. And I remember she had all these pictures. I think she was modeling or something. And in each photos, she had this angry face, this resting big face. Looking at her photos, anyone would think she was full of herself. And so she doesn't really seem friendly at all. But the first time I saw her in person, again, it was an odd situation. We were in a room and she came late and she sat in a very weird place. She sat in the center of the room where she was surrounded by a lot of people. I think she chose this seat very carefully because it was the seat that allowed her to be close to the majority of people she could have been close with. And after she sat down, she immediately started talking with firstly one guy and then another. And the first thing I thought was, oh, she must know them. Later I discovered that she didn't because she told me. And I was very surprised by this first interaction that she made with a group of people she didn't know. I am not a timid type myself, and before meeting her, I thought I was an extrovert. Turns out I was completely wrong. There's a difference between being a chatterbox like me and an extrovert, a social butterfly like she is. So the first time I really know she had this superpower, that's how I call when people has these major green flags that I would love to have, but it's impossible to. I don't remember if we went out for lunch or we went out to take a coffee because it was a few years ago. And me and Eve were with this other friend. And this friend and I completely agreed on what was happening there. So it was like a 2 minutes walk between us and the restaurant, the bar, the whatever it was. And it became like a 10 minutes walk because I'm not kidding, every 10 steps, Eve had to say hi to someone or vice versa. So we were continuously stopping while walking because she had to talk to someone else. And my friend and I thought, how does she know so many people? How is this even possible that she had to say hi to 20 different people in 5 minutes? How is she so popular? Well, I think the answer it's pretty easy actually. Eve leaves the mark everywhere she goes. But how does she does that? Hanging out with Eve, I started becoming more friendly myself because when someone is often complimenting you and smiling at you, you become positive yourself. And I saw little changes in my relationships. But the very interesting part came when Eve not only seemed to be very lucky in her social life, but also in her academic life and in her job interviews, etc. And at this point, I was like, wait a minute, how is this even possible? So one time she applied for a job interview I didn't apply to, but I knew some of the people who did. And I knew that these people were older than her, more experienced than her, and also conventionally smarter than her because they had better marks, etc. So I thought she wasn't really gonna get that until she did. And then I finally got it. Social skills and networking are extremely underrated. She got the job because she was the perfect match without even trying too much. So now I want to give you some advice that I learned from her and from other people with good social skills that I applied in my life and made a positive impact on my social life. So I'm gonna share it with you. First of all, always say hi first, and if they didn't hear you, say it again. Especially with people you don't know that much, like the cashier, the bus driver, etc. Because if you ever need them, these people are going to be more likely to help you out if you smile and say hi. I also like to say hi to people I don't know, like older people, because here in Italy it's like a thing. It just puts people in a good mood. Another thing that I love when happens to me is that when you are in a group and someone is talking and gets interrupted by something or someone, after the interruption, always say like, what were you saying? I love it when it happens to me and I know other people like it too, so just do it. And another tips I want to give you is take initiative. Like for example, especially when you are in a situation like a group of people from uni that you don't know that well and you know they don't really know each other, take initiative. Like say, who wants to grab coffee all together and take initiative because you're going to come out like as friendly, as someone who likes to hang out with people. So yeah, these are my tips. If you have any other tips you want to share, the comment box is all yours. So I hope to see you soon. A presto!